The Walking Dead, Dead City, Season 2, Episode 5. Full recap in English. Total word count, 55 words. Warning: spoiler alert, this is a full recap and contains spoilers for Season 2, Episode 5 of The Walking Dead, Dead City. Fire Part 1, Reunion and Ruins. The episode opens with Maggie Rhee, Lauren Cohan, and Negan Smith, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, still on the road after their escape from the mysterious organization that has been hunting them since the beginning of the season. The two are now closer than ever, not romantically but in terms of mutual respect and reluctant trust. They've come to understand each other's survival instincts and past traumas more deeply. As they approach what seems to be a new settlement near the ruins of an old city, possibly Detroit or Cleveland, they encounter a group of survivors who appear to be part of a scavenger gang. Maggie and Negan try to avoid confrontation, but tensions rise when one of the scavengers recognizes Negan as the former leader of the Saviors. A fight breaks out, and although both manage to escape, Maggie is injured in the process. This sets up the central theme of the episode: trust, identity, and the weight of past sins. Skull Part 2, Ghosts of the Past. While tending to Maggie's wound in an abandoned hospital, the two share a rare moment of vulnerability. Negan admits he still hears Lucille's voice, his late wife, in his head. He confesses that he doesn't know if it's guilt, grief, or just madness speaking back to him. Maggie listens without judgment, perhaps understanding better than anyone else how the dead can haunt the living. Meanwhile, flashbacks reveal glimpses into Negan's life during the early days of the apocalypse, before the Saviors were formed. We see him struggling to protect people, failing, and slowly transforming into the man everyone feared. These scenes humanize him further and show that his brutality was born from desperation rather than inherent evil. Back in the present, Maggie begins to question whether continuing this mission, tracking down the mysterious figure known only as the Broker, is worth the risk. She asks Negan point-blank, what happens if we find him? What then? Negan, for once, doesn't have an answer. Brain Part 3, The Broker revealed? As night falls, the pair stumbles upon a fortified compound surrounded by high walls and armed guards. Surveillance drones buzz overhead, and the place looks more advanced than anything they've seen since the fall of civilization. Maggie suspects it might be connected to the organization that took her son, Herschel, too. Inside the compound, we cut to a different perspective, a young woman named Elena who appears to be a scientist or researcher working under someone called Dr. Voss, the possible alias of the Broker. Elena is clearly conflicted about her work. In a tense conversation, she confronts Dr. Voss about the ethics of their experiments on infected humans. It becomes clear that this group is experimenting with ways to control or even reverse the zombie infection. Their research involves studying brain activity, behavioral patterns, and possibly even genetic manipulation. It's a chilling twist on the usual zombie lore in The Walking Dead, hinting at a darker, more scientific side to the apocalypse. Elena warns Dr. Voss that if they push too far, they'll become no better than the monsters outside. Dr. Voss responds coldly, monsters wear lab coats sometimes too. Broken Heart Part 4, Maggie's breaking point. Back outside, Maggie and Negan observe the compound from a distance. Negan suggests infiltrating it under the cover of darkness, but Maggie hesitates. She reveals that she started having nightmares again, visions of her son, of Glenn, of the farm, and of everything she's lost. She tells Negan, I'm tired of fighting for a future I don't believe in anymore. It's a raw, emotional moment that shows how much Maggie has changed since the days of the hilltop. Negan tries to reassure her, saying, you don't need to believe in the future. Just believe in today. That's all any of us get. His words aren't poetic, but they hit hard. Later that night, Maggie decides to go ahead with the plan. She knows she can't turn back now, not when there's a chance her son could still be alive somewhere inside that fortress. Pistol Part 5, Infiltration Gone Wrong. Under the cover of darkness, Maggie and Negan sneak into the compound through an underground drainage tunnel. Inside, they find remnants of failed experiments, cages, blood-stained floors, and recordings of test subjects screaming. They're eventually spotted by a guard, leading to a chaotic shootout. Negan uses a modified baseball bat fitted with razor blades to take down several enemies, while Maggie fights with precision and fury, fueled by desperation and rage. During the chaos, they locate a secure room labeled Subject H07, which they believe is linked to Herschel. But before they can enter, alarms blare, and the entire facility goes into lockdown. Elena appears on a security monitor and speaks directly to Maggie, if you want answers, come to the Central Lab. But hurry before they kill us all. Test Tube Part 6, Truth Serum. In the Central Lab, Elena meets Maggie and Negan face to face. She explains that the organization is trying to create a vaccine or cure using data extracted from infected individuals. However, the process is brutal and unethical, involving live testing on captured survivors. Elena hands Maggie a file labeled Herschel Re, Subject H07. Maggie flips through the pages with trembling hands. The documents suggest that Herschel was indeed taken here, but not as a prisoner. According to the notes, he volunteered to help in exchange for protection and shelter for others. This revelation shocks Maggie. She thought her son had been kidnapped. Now she learns he may have made a conscious choice, one she never got to discuss with him. Elena offers Maggie a chance to see him, but only briefly. She leads them to a viewing chamber where they can watch Herschel through a thick glass window. He's alive, but he looks different. He's hooked up to machines, muttering strange phrases, and appears to be under some kind of neural stimulation. Negan whispers, "He's not right, Maggie." Cyclone Part 7, The Choice. Just as Maggie prepares to break into the chamber, Dr. Voss arrives with armed guards. He accuses Elena of treason and orders her immediate execution. Before he can give the command, however, Negan tackles him, sparking another violent showdown. In the chaos, Elena manages to override the lockdown system and open the chamber door. Maggie rushes inside to embrace her son, but Herschel barely reacts. He looks at her like he doesn't recognize her. Dr. Voss screams from the floor, "You think you saved him? You just gave him more pain." Maggie realizes the truth. Herschel isn't being held against his will. He's being used as a test subject in a program designed to map the effects of the virus on the human mind. He's aware of who he is, but the experiments have left him mentally fractured. Faced with an impossible decision, save her son or stop the experiments, Maggie hesitates. Fire Part 8, Burn It Down. Ultimately, Maggie makes the heartbreaking choice. She helps Elena activate a fail-safe protocol that will destroy the lab and all its research. She stays behind long enough to whisper goodbye to her son, promising him she'll carry his memory forward. Outside, Negan holds off the remaining guards as Elena and Maggie escape. As the compound explodes behind them, fire consuming years of twisted science and suffering, the three survivors flee into the night. In the final scene, the trio rests by a campfire. Elena asks Maggie what she'll do next. Maggie looks at the stars and says simply, "Live. For real this time." Negan smirks and adds, "Yeah. And maybe stop getting shot every 5 minutes." The camera pans upward as the flames fade behind them, leaving destruction and hope in their wake. Brain thematic breakdown. 1. Identity and redemption. Negan continues his journey toward redemption, showing moments of genuine empathy and leadership. Maggie struggles with her own identity, warrior, mother, survivor, and begins to redefine herself beyond vengeance. 2. Ethics and science. The episode explores the moral gray areas of scientific experimentation in a post-apocalyptic world. Is it ethical to experiment on the infected? On volunteers? On children? 3. Loss and memory. Both Maggie and Negan deal with haunting memories of loved ones, of past mistakes, and of who they used to be. The episode underscores how trauma shapes identity and choices. 4. Trust and betrayal. The dynamic between Maggie and Negan evolves significantly. There's still tension, but also growing respect and reliance on each other. Bar chart character development summary. Maggie Rhee faces the painful truth about her son, begins healing from grief and loss. Negan Smith shows deeper layers of remorse and humanity, becomes more than a villain. Elena, moral compass of the lab, risked everything to expose the truth. Dr. Voss embodies the cold logic of science without empathy, represents corruption. Herschel Rhee, tragic victim of experimentation. His fate leaves lasting impact on Maggie. Performing arts emotional beats. Maggie's breakdown over her son. Negan's confession about hearing Lucille. Elena's moral dilemma with the experiments. The reunion with Herschel, bittersweet and devastating. The explosion of the compound, cathartic release. Musical notes, music and sound design. The score by Bear McCreary delivers a haunting blend of strings and ambient tones, enhancing the emotional depth of key scenes. The use of silence during Maggie's reunion with Herschel is particularly powerful. Sound design plays a major role in building tension, especially during the lab infiltration and final escape sequences. Frame picture cinematography highlights. Wide shots of the burning compound emphasize the scale of destruction. Close-ups on Maggie's face during emotional scenes capture every tear and tremble. Flashbacks to Negan's past are shot in muted colors, giving them a dreamlike quality. The final wide-angle shot of the survivors staring at the horizon is symbolic of a new beginning. Puzzle piece foreshadowing and future implications. The destruction of the lab may not end the organization, suggesting larger forces at play. Elena may continue traveling with Maggie and Negan, adding a new dynamic to the group. The possibility of a cure remains unresolved, setting up future conflicts over ethics and survival. Maggie may seek out other survivors who were experimented on, potentially forming a new community. Increasing ratings and reception. Early reactions suggest this is one of the strongest episodes of Dead City so far. Fans praise the depth of character development, the emotional intensity of the plot, the balance between action and introspection, the bold storytelling risks, e.g. Herschel's fate. Critics note that the episode successfully expands the Walking Dead universe while staying true to its roots. Book's final thoughts. Season 2, Episode 5 of The Walking Dead, Dead City is a masterclass in post-apocalyptic drama. It combines heart-wrenching emotion, intense action, and philosophical questions about morality, identity, and the cost of survival. This episode marks a turning point for Maggie and Negan, pushing them into uncharted territory both physically and emotionally. It's a reminder that in The Walking Dead, the greatest battles are often fought within ourselves.